Today's video, what I want to do is I want to go over all the features that the camera offers on the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. Now, this is a fantastic phone and it's got one of the best smartphone cameras on the market. So if you're going to have a camera like this on a smartphone, it's best that you know everything there is to know about the camera. In other words, I want you guys to master the camera and all the settings and all the options and all the features that are hidden inside it. So let's dive right in. Alright, so let's start off with the most basic tip. The most basic tip is if you double press the home key twice very quickly, it's going to launch the camera as such. Boom. Now the whole point of this feature is even if your phone is shut and even if your phone is locked and if you suddenly see something that you want to take a snapshot of, you can quickly double tap on the home key and boom, your camera comes right up and you move right on. And of course, if you do not like this feature, you can disable it. So if you launch the camera, okay, and if you go into the settings, all you have to do is make sure that quick launch over here is in fact enabled. So if you disable this, quick launch by double pressing the home button is not going to work. And if it is in fact not working and you do want to enable it, that's where you go to enable it. Now the next thing I absolutely adore is called voice control. Basically you can use your voice commands to take a picture. So what you have to do is you have to go into the settings and you have to just scroll down a little bit and go to shooting methods. If you tap on this, it's going to allow you to enable or disable voice control. And as you can see, you can say things like smile, cheese, capture, or shoot to take a picture, and also say things like record video to actually starting recording video just by using your voice completely hands-free. Let me demonstrate. So let's say cheese. And as you can see, that took a quick snapshot. You can also say smile, and that's going to take a quick photo. And then if you want to make a movie, you say record video. And that's going to start recording the video. Absolutely fantastic. And unfortunately, you cannot stop this by using your voice, so you have to manually press stop, and that's going to stop recording the video. Now here's one feature you can use in conjunction to the voice controls. You can set a timer. So if you set a timer, let's tap over here. The menu is going to be up here. If you do not see this menu, press this arrow, because if you press this arrow, that menu disappears. If you press this arrow one more time, that quick shortcut menu shows up, and you can actually press the shutter time button here, and that's going to allow you to choose from 2 seconds, 5 seconds, or 10 seconds for the timer. Let's do 2 seconds, and let's press the shutter button, and as you can see, that starts the timer, and in 2 seconds, a picture is taken. Now let me use my voice. Capture. Now as you can see, the voice control and the timer worked together to take a shot. Very useful feature. Now the same thing works for recording videos. So all you have to say is record video. And as you can see, the video starts to record after the timer kicks in. Fantastic. Alright, so on the top here, under the shortcut menu, you have a button that says Effect. This allows you to preview effects live before even taking a picture. So let me show you how that works. Press on Effect, and then just pick any effect. Let's go by the film effect. And as you can see, you can get a live preview of the effect that's going to happen when you take a picture. On top of that, you can press this Settings button and modify some of the available settings right on the fly. So that's going to reduce the strength of the effect. Oops, press that. Reduce the strength of the effect or increase the strength. And of course, you can also change the other options that come available underneath over here after you press that settings icon. Fantastic. And if you want to get rid of the effect, you simply press Effect again and choose No Effect. And that's the raw picture. And of course, some other basics, you can enable or disable the flash here. If you tap this, you can go toggle between on, always on, auto flash, or off if you so desire. And you can change the size and quality of the picture by pressing this button. So if I tap this, it brings a quick menu. And from here, you can choose the resolution, megapixel count for each photo. Next thing I want to talk about is the button down here. Now, first and foremost, there's a button here. If you press this, this just flips the camera. You can do a selfie. And over here, you can still use the voice controls to take a picture or record a video. which as you can see just activated, as I said, record video. So let's go back out of here and go to this button, which is very interesting. If you go into mode, you've got various different modes. And quickly, if you tap on info, it gives you the detail for each mode. If you want to master your camera, you should go in and read these. So for example, the auto mode is just for simplicity. You just launch the camera, you take a picture, but you can also go into the pro mode, which allows you to adjust the exposure values. You can manually change the shutter speed, the ISO sensitivity, the white balance, and you can even manually focus. So let's just go back there for a minute. And suddenly at the bottom here, you'll get all these options. And if you tap ISO, for example, you can manually adjust the ISO values. And this is something professional photographers can appreciate much more than just our average users. But if you go back to mode, you'll see there's other things here. You can take, you have a special mode just to take pictures of food. You've got the dual camera mode. You've got the slow motion shots and all that beautiful stuff. And again, if you tap more, you can click edit. And from here, other than the ones that come from the factory, you can delete the ones that you do not want. These are the ones you download from the market. How do you do that? You go back, you click download, and you get all these different camera modes that you can actually download. So you can tap on this. It's already been downloaded, or you can uninstall it. Okay? So these are what's called the modes. Now let's quickly talk about the video. So as you know, the Samsung Galaxy S7 can record 4K video. It can record 1080p video at 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second. What you want to do is you want to go into settings and go to video size. And from here, this is for the rear camera, by the way, it says right here, rear camera. You can choose the different kinds of resolutions that you want to record in. So there's the 4K video, there's the QHD, there's the full high definition, which is 1080p at 60 frames per second. Or if you choose this one, it's going to be 1080p at 30 frames per second. Again, if you go to full HD at 60 frames per second, your video is going to be very smooth and very stable. It's going to take more storage space. And that's how you toggle between the different video settings. So make sure you guys are in the right setting. I mean, you don't want to start recording a 4K video when you're intending to record a 1080p, because the 4K video is going to take a lot of storage as opposed to 1080p. So the other things to consider, you can enable or disable motion photo. And I'm sure you guys know what motion photo is. What happens is, it says right here, it records a short video clip of what happens before each picture is taken. You can also enable tracking autofocus, which, as a matter of fact, you can enable for 4K videos. With this one, you simply tap on the screen. So for example, let's go back to the camera. I can tap on this screen right here. It's going to recognize this object. When I move this object, the focus stays on that object. That is tracking autofocus. Okay, so you can move that object around, you can move the phone around. It's going to be focused on this camera. This is a very advanced feature and it works great. Now the only problem is when you enable autofocus, the tracking mode, it's going to disable video stabilization, as you can see. So if I press this, it's not working. It is grayed out. So always disable that. And you cannot use video stabilization in 4K either. Okay, so these are the settings you have to play with. So if you go to full HD, which is 1080p, you can in fact use video stabilization, but you cannot use it for 4K. And as the name implies, video stabilization stabilizes your video so it doesn't look shaky at all. And of course, I'm sure a lot of you guys know exactly what this means, the location tags. But if you do enable the location tags, and if you do take a photo while it is enabled, if you go into the photo, if you tap on more, and if you say details, it actually gives you the exact location as to where that photo was taken, and even gives you a small map. And you can actually tap this, it's going to expand and give you a more general bird's eye view. And I quickly want to touch on the grid line. So if you tap on settings, it's going to take you into the grid lines. From here, you can have two kinds of grid lines. You can have 3x3 or a square. So I do encourage you guys turn this on because it allows you to align your photos better. So if I go back here, as you can see, we have two lines this way and two lines that way. That's the 3x3 grid. If you go back into settings, tap on this, go to square, you're going to have two horizontal lines, and that's going to be a different kind of grid line. But you can use this one for pictures that you want to upload to Instagram. So you can actually position a picture within the square, the two grids over here, and then you can quickly edit that and upload that to Instagram, and you'll be good to go. And then scroll down, and then we talked about quick launch. We talked about review pictures. Actually, we did not talk about this. So if this is enabled, what's going to happen is when you do take a photo, it's going to give you a quick review on the screen. It's going to be dismissed if you don't touch it. Okay, if you don't enable that, let's disable that, go back out, take a picture, and as you can see, you get no review. The picture gets saved in the gallery. You have to go launch it manually. Next up, let's go back into settings. Scroll down. We looked at quick launch, volume keys function. Let's tap it. You have three different options. You can use it to take pictures, you can use it to record video, or you can use them for zooming. So if I go back here and right now to the camera, if I press the volume key, it's going to in fact take a picture. If I go back here, go down, if I press record video, guess what's going to happen? It's going to record a video. There we go. Okay, so stop that. And of course, if you want, you can use it for zooming purposes, which is actually a very practical use, I think. Volume up is going to zoom in. Volume down is going to zoom out. Okay, let's go back into settings and look at the other stuff. At the bottom here, you can disable the shutter sound, so every time you take a picture, it's not going to make a sound. This is great for you guys who want to take some sneaky shots. Not that I want you to be sneaky, but you have that option. Now, if you play around with the settings and you get confused and you just mess things up, you can always press the reset settings, and that just brings everything to the default factory options. And remember some of the basics. If you tap anywhere on the screen, the camera actually focuses on that thing. So if I tap here, the camera will focus right here. It's going to adjust the exposure automatically because we're in the automatic mode. But if you tap over here, it's going to focus on that lens. And of course, all this is done automatically. And one more thing, when you flip the camera, when you go into the settings, this time the video size over here and these options will be applying to the front-facing camera. So if I go in here, the front-facing camera can record up to QHD, but not 4K. You can do full high definition at 30 frames per second, and these other options are available. But remember, when you flip this over, the settings apply to the front-facing camera as opposed to the rear-facing camera, which we are at right now. Again, if I flip this over, even these options over here, they will apply to the front-facing camera. Let's go back. And that's basically what the camera is all about. So just be aware of these buttons, hide the menu, bring the menu up, go into the full settings, customize it as you please, pick a mode that best suits your shooting style. And, if you want to do slow motion, you have to go to this, absolutely. And that's the video, by the way. If you tap this, it's going to be a video, okay? And that's going to be slow motion. So let's go back to mode, just go to auto. This is the best option for everybody. And look, if you have any questions or if I did not cover anything in the camera, leave a comment below and share your tip with other people. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if you own a camera as good as this on a smartphone, you should know everything that it is capable of. Now, one more thing I did not go over, and again, this is for professionals. If you go into the professional mode, where you can manually change the exposure settings, if you go into the settings, and if you scroll down, you'll have this option enabled. It says save as a raw file. So if you press this, that's going to enable the raw files, and they're going to take a lot of space, but when you post-process these pictures, you have a lot of options. Again, if you don't understand this language, just ignore it. This is for the professionals. Now let's go back out, and if you go into any other mode, okay, you cannot save in RAW. You can only save in the RAW file format if you're in the professional mode.